All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to this virtual cooking workshop. This is our third cooking workshop for the academic year 2020-2021. So those virtual cooking workshops are collaborations between the faculty and residence program and WHISK. So I'm very pleased to introduce Jamie Kubota, who's a professor in the Department of Nutrition, Food Science, and Packaging here at San Jose State University, and also Valerie Mardueno, who's a senior nutrition student who is going to be leading at least part of the cooking demonstration tonight. So this meeting is recorded, so some of you might join us live, but if you can't join us live, I hope that this video will be useful to you and allow you to develop your cooking skills and help you eat in a healthy manner while you're a resident here at San Jose State. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Professor Kubota so that she can present WHISK.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I know a lot of you, we have students on here, so I recognize you. And thank you, George, for coming from the residence hall. So WHISK is Wellness and Health Inspired Student Kitchens. It's a program we run in the nutrition department. And we do student-led nutrition education and cooking demonstrations for our campus community. So we have nutrition students, most of whom are seniors who are going to join us. Valerie is a senior nutrition student. She's been with WHISK for the past year, and she's actually a student assistant with WHISK now, and also completing her community nutrition course here. And part of that is service learning. So we have students that go out in the community and do service learning. So some of them are participating as WHISK ambassadors this semester to fulfill their service learning. And so they get to put into practice some of the things they're learning in the classroom. So we're super excited to have Valerie lead this demonstration tonight. And I will hand it over to her to tell you what she's going to be making.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to be making some Valentine's Day treats. The first recipe we're going to do is heart-shaped sushi rolls, and the second is going to be Valentine's Day Rice Krispie treats. So I'm going to get started with these sushi rolls. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get sushi rice, specifically sushi rice or short grain rice. It's made for sushi, and the first thing you're going to want to do is rinse it. So I'm going to bring you over to my sink. And so to rinse rice, you're going to pour some water. And then just with your fingertips, you're going to kind of mix it. And the water is going to get milky, get like a milky color. And you want it until it's pretty transparent, until there's no milkiness. And just to take off any of the water, move your bowl to the side and the water should drip out just like that.
So Valerie, I was going to show them that I got this sushi rice here, Nishiki, and it actually says sushi rice on it. And so it's a great brand to try. But I've also used just generic like Calrose short grain rice, and it works pretty well as well. So people that make sushi chefs are very particular about their rice, and yes, you can be, but you can also make do with just regular old Calrose rice, and it works pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the short grain rice that I have, I got from Whole Foods, and it's this one. Yeah, sushi rice. And then to cook this, you're going to want to put it in a pot with about 1 cup of rice and 2 cups water. And you're going to let it boil for a bit. And once it's boiled, you're going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Once it's simmered for about 15 minutes, you're going to remove the heat and just let it steam until all the water is absorbed. And in the end, it should turn out something like this.
Through the magic of television.
Yes.
So I have mine in the rice cooker. I was going to say you can use a rice cooker as well, and it works just as good. So if you have a rice cooker and you want to use it, you can. And mine has 4 minutes and then it'll be done. So I'm just a little bit behind Valerie. Someone was asking a couple of questions. So one of the questions was, can you just use regular rice if you don't have sushi rice? We'll let
I
Valerie.
was gonna say yes, but it depends like what kind of rice. Because if you use like quinoa type, like that type of rice, that it's gonna be too like it goes everywhere and it's not gonna really stick.
So yeah, it's hard to use quinoa because it won't hold its shape. One of the things about sushi rice or the Calrose rice, the short grain rice, is that it's a little bit sticky. And that actually helps you in putting the sushi together. So when you try to use other rice, it may not be as sticky. So it may be difficult to form. You can eat it, but it's just probably going to be more difficult for you to make it into that sushi form that you're looking for. And the same thing with quinoa, right? It's going to be hard. You could make a sushi bowl, and we do that sometimes without forming the sushi. We put, sushi rice, I season it. I get all the things that I would put in my sushi roll and put them out, and then people just put some on top of their bowl and we eat it like that, like a bowl.
All right.
So you do that with quinoa. Sorry, Valerie.
Yeah, it's okay. So meanwhile that cooks, meanwhile it's steaming for 15 minutes or simmering for 15 minutes, we can go ahead and chop some of our vegetables. So for my recipe, I'm gonna use carrots, cucumber, avocado. I like mango to give it that sweet flavor, but it's up to you. You can add whatever you'd like. So I'm gonna start off by peeling this.
I had my avocado in a brown bag with an apple to ripen it because it wasn't quite ripe, and now it's ripe. And I'm prepping all the same ingredients, but this is my cheat. This is what I do for sushi. We like vegetarian sushi. My husband's vegan, so that's great for him. But my kids like to have a little bit of something in their sushi, and they really like tempura sushi. So if I'm making sushi, what I'll do is I'll just order like an order of tempura, and then I will add that in. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I picked up 2 orders of tempura, and I'm going to do shrimp tempura and then a veggie tempura roll for the rest of us as well. So I was thinking actually of you guys who are living there near the dining commons. Where's George? George, he's not with us. George, there you are. You're down low. I didn't see you. There you are. I was thinking, if you're in the dining commons and you're picking food up to come home, pick up some extra shrimp because you can turn that into sushi. Pick up some extra veggies. You can turn that into sushi, right? You want to make maybe a spicy shrimp roll. Pick up some of that cooked shrimp and you mix it up with a little mayo, a little sriracha that you have in your dorm refrigerator, and you've got the filling for a spicy shrimp roll. I just picked up this. I Amazoned it because I wanted to try it. So I keep regular mayonnaise. This is Japanese mayo. It's called Kewpie mayo, and it's apparently a little bit sweeter than our traditional mayo, but this is what would be used in a Japanese restaurant.
It's a good tip about the shrimps, because sometimes at the dining commons they do pho, I think.
Yeah.
So then there's always some shrimps available. So I think that residents can grab them and then use them to cook sushi.
Yep.
I wanted to point out, so the dining commons does have like sushi making kits. I mean, it's like $40. It's a little bit expensive probably, but they do have like it's called the Ginger Market, the Ginger Express Market, and they have it in the dining commons, and they sell like seaweed, they sell sushi rice, bags of sushi rice, small bags of sushi rice, and they have the Kewpie mayonnaise. So I actually have a bottle of Kewpie mayonnaise in my refrigerator.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it better than regular American mayonnaise. I mean, I consume it all the time in Japan, so
So it is a little sweeter, huh?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I never really said sweeter, but it tastes. It's different. It just seems different and better. I don't know why, but that's just how it is, in my opinion.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying it. Let's see. So Valerie, am taking my cucumber, and I had kind of a small cucumber, but it's about the right size for a sushi roll. So I'm going to try to just shave the edges off, kind of square it off. So I don't necessarily want my seeds in mine. So I'm just going to square that off and then slice those into strips that I can add into my sushi. And I think it's going to be actually probably the right length and size.
Yeah, you can cut the cucumber long ways, just like this, going straight down. Or if like you have just half the cucumber, you could just literally cut it like this, and then once you make the sushi, you put it lengthwise and then like that. If you don't have the whole cucumber.
So if you were a sushi chef, actually, they have a technique for cutting their cucumber where they actually hold it with the knife and they go around like this with the knife. It's pretty amazing to watch. You've got to have some skills to do that. So this is a little bit easier for me even, and I'm a trained chef, but you know, sushi chefing is actually a whole nother game. So do be careful is my point. They make it look easy, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's super easy. And I'm going to cut some carrot here.
Just make sure the pieces aren't like too thick, because when you roll it, you'll have a hard time, especially if it's your first time making sushi. It's pretty difficult to get the roll perfect. It takes some practice.
It still tastes delicious. Yeah. I'm cutting mine pretty thin. I'd rather add in a few strips. You know, pretty much any vegetable can work too, because you could do red peppers, you could do yellow pepper, you can do any of the peppers, carrots. I think avocado goes really well, cucumber for sure. And then I really like the tempura veggies. Okay, I've got my carrots. I'm going to open up my avocado, but I'm not actually going to cut it yet. Avocado's ready. Here's my veggie plate is ready. It's also one of those things that can be fun to do with friends, right? To do the sushi rolling together. So you could maybe prep your vegetables ahead or give everybody a vegetable to prep and bring, and then you could come together and roll the sushi together. That could be a fun thing when we can all get back, you know, in person. But if you're with your roommates who you see anyway and you're masked up, you could actually roll sushi together if you're at home with family. It's kind of a fun thing. And from what I understand, and George, you've lived in Japan, so maybe you know about this too, is it's kind of a family dinner to do sushi, but they do like the hand rolls. So they'll put out the sushi rice and the different things that might go on sushi or in sushi. And then they make little hand rolls together at the table and eat them. So that's something that's kind of traditional.
My vegetables and my mango is all done, so I'm gonna move on to my bamboo mat, or my sushi rolling mat. So on mine I like to put saran wrap. Usually you would put saran wrap. This is so like when you roll, it doesn't stick. It's like straight onto the mat. You have like covering and keeping it protected and safe. So then.
Professor Kubota, do you know where one can buy a sushi rolling mat?
Yes. So you can Amazon it for sure. You can get them like at Daiso if you go to their Ranch 99. If you're going to one of the, you know, kind of the Asian markets, they usually have them there. I don't know that I see them at my regular grocery store. I actually Amazoned this.
Yeah, this one specifically I got at Whole Foods in store. So
perfect. Mine came in this nice little case with a set of chopsticks and a little spatula for the rice and everything. I think it was like $9.95. So it was actually a great deal. And it comes with this little case to hold it in. So I'm going to get my rice. So it'll be just a moment. I have my rice in the rice cooker and it's done. I think Valerie's got her rice already ready, but I will be right back.
Are there different size mats you can get? Like, can you get like a jumbo one to make super large sushi, or is it just a pretty standard size?
Usually what I've seen is just the standard size, but I'm pretty sure there's like larger ones, maybe on Amazon to make bigger.
That's definitely how I would roll.
So for the seaweed, this is the brand I'm using. I also found it at Whole Foods. And you want to make sure it's specifically for sushi rolling.
And if you're a new resident, there's a Whole Foods on the Alameda. It's about a 30 minutes walk from campus. I've walked there many times, so you can too.
I was just going to point out that the sushi rice, you usually want it to be about body temperature. So you don't want it to be cold, but you also don't want it to be hot when you're rolling your sushi. I just got mine out of the rice cooker and you can see that it's steaming. It's pretty hot. So I'm going to fan it and allow it to cool. And once it's cooled a little bit more, I'm adding in some sushi vinegar, some seasoned sushi vinegar to mine to season it. And that's an optional thing. I think Valerie was going to do it without that, but I usually do season mine. And so it's either you buy the seasoned rice vinegar that is seasoned. You can buy something called sushi seasoning, which is seasoned rice wine vinegar. Or if you just I keep regular rice wine. It's a ratio of rice wine vinegar to sugar to salt. It's 5 parts vinegar, 3 parts sugar, 1 part salt. So I put, 5 tablespoons of vinegar, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt in here. And I'm stirring it up just to make sure it's all dissolved. If it doesn't dissolve, you can heat it up a little bit and then it will dissolve. This is going to be the seasoning for me. So I'm just a little bit behind that.
I would always recommend to put something like that in the sushi rice just because it tastes better. Like there's a difference between like regular sushi rice and just rice. And the sushi, I like the taste of sushi rice better than regular rice, in my opinion.
Yeah. If anybody really gets into sushi, you can watch the movie Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's a documentary about an older gentleman in Japan who's, I don't know, in his 80s when the movie was shot. And he owns a Michelin-starred sushi restaurant in Japan. It's all about him and his life and his craft of sushi. It's really amazing to watch, but you get all these, you get all this about the sushi rice and the seasoning and the fish, and it's pretty amazing, fun to watch.
Okay, so I'm going to begin to put my rice onto my sushi nori sheet. And I like to use my hands because the rice is kind of sticky already. So what I do is just add a little bit of water to my fingertips and then just add the rice. When I make sushi, I like to leave about an inch at the bottom and at the top of no rice.
Does that help it to fold up better?
Yeah, I think it makes it a little bit easier to roll.
I've never made sushi, so it's nice to learn the technique while watching you.
It's, it is something that takes a little bit of practice. It's certainly not something that you just pick up and do. But once you've seen it done, it's much easier.
So I'm just now looking at the chat. Yes, Dr. Brown, I have been to Japan many times. Like in the last 8 years or so, probably once every 6 months, just because family.
This is awesome. I wish I could go. I wish I'll go one day.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend it. Especially, it's a great tourist place.
You know, it's actually, people are so polite in Japan. It's part of the culture that they're just so darn polite. So my husband is Japanese, so we've been a couple of times, but we haven't been in a while. And the last time that we went, we took my parents with me, and they speak no Japanese at all. And they met us there. So we flew from Japan, or from California. They flew from Texas, and we gave them specific directions on how to get off of the how to get off on the airplane. They were coming in a little bit later, so we were going to meet them at the hotel. They followed the directions. They got near the hotel and then got lost. But these people saw them, obviously very lost, and went up to them and helped them find the hotel. They were a block away, so they were very close. Actually walked them over to the hotel. They were just so polite, so nice. So it's actually a really nice country to visit because people are very polite and so helpful. If you get the opportunity, I highly recommend it. And I think mine is ready. I'm going to start rolling too. So this is, I'm cutting in my seasoning. I'm just kind of cutting it in, trying not to smash my rice to keep my rice nice and whole, but I wanted it to cool down and I wanted it to get kind of evenly coated with that seasoning. So I'm ready now. I don't know if I'm going to be as successful as Valerie in making it heart-shaped. I'm going to roll some sushi here.
So once I have placed the rice onto the sushi sheet, what I like to do is just kind of make like an indent in the middle of the rice, just so I know where I'm going to place all my vegetables and all of that. And then just add in all of your ingredients.
So Valerie, there is a smooth side and a rough side, right?
Yeah.
And we want the smooth side down.
Yeah, that the smoothest side is also more shiny, I believe.
Yeah.
So you want that side down.
So one thing I know that's helpful for me is to have a little like bowl of water and to wet my hands as I'm working with the rice, and it helps to keep it from sticking so much to my hands. And I'm going to get a towel ready. So Valerie is adding her veggies into her roll. I would say for me, it's about a tennis ball, a large tennis ball, maybe an orange size amount of rice that I put down on my seaweed. I'm just spreading it pretty even for me.
And the rice shouldn't be, you shouldn't put like a thick layer, because once you try to roll it, it won't like turn out that good. I know the first time that I did a pretty thick layer, and rolling was like so difficult. So just make sure you do like a thin layer if you're doing it for like the first time.
So here's my, this one's going to be my shrimp tempura roll. This one's going for my son who does not eat avocado. So I'm doing the tempura and cucumber because that's going to be what he eats. I'm ready to roll when. So you roll from the bottom up?
Yes, I roll from the bottom up.
I wish there was a way to do multiple pins in this Zoom call. I know the host.
Spotlight.
The host can set that, I believe.
I think I have mine backwards.
Yeah, Georgia. I'm trying to pin the right screens at the right time for the recording.
So I'm actually using my saran wrap here to start the roll. And so that's why even if you didn't have a sushi rolling mat, you can actually just do this with saran wrap. You just use the saran wrap to move things and it actually works okay. I've done it without the mat before as well. So I'm just kind of using that saran wrap and it's working just fine. But you can then use your sushi rolling mat to tighten it up. So then I use the sushi rolling mat to tighten up that roll and I've got a nice roll ready. So that's round, but I think Valerie's going to show us a technique to turn it into a heart shape.
You know, as someone who gets sushi all the time in the dining commons, the professional sushi chefs, they don't always use that the what you call it, the little net thing,
mat.
The mat, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need it.
They could just well, because they're mostly wraps though.
Yeah. It helps to kind of help, you know, if you do this, you can tighten up that roll and then it'll hold together a little bit better when you're trying to cut it. So that's the nice, I think, reason to use it, but it's not absolutely necessary. And actually I was talking to Valerie about it when we decided to do sushi. You can buy these molds even that make sushi so easy. There's these plastic molds in a variety of different shapes, even hearts, right? And so you end up putting your seaweed in, putting in your ingredients, and then pressing the top of the mold down to kind of firm it all up. And then they even have places to cut through the mold. So then you can use it. It's already set in there because that's another difficult part for some with sushi is getting a nice slice on it. So the molds are really useful, but then, you know, who wants in their dorm to have a mold just for sushi? Most of us don't have room for that in our houses, much less our dorms. So no, it's available, but it's not necessary. But
I believe we do have molds in my house in the US, actually. I think I've only used it once though in my life.
I have some like musubi. I have a musubi mold. Mercedes is on. Are you still here, Mercedes? I showed it to her earlier. I bought a musubi mold recently because we've been making musubi at home. So it's nice to have the mold because it makes it look just like the store.
And then there's a sushi bazooka. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Yes. Yeah. Super fun. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can buy, but look what we can do with some saran wrap. So where's Valerie? She's got her roll ready. I guess I'm going to set my roll aside and make another roll or two. Wait, what? This doesn't have avocado. So I tend to toast my nori. You don't have to, but it's another step. If you've got a flame right there, you can. So I take the nori and I just wave it over an open flame, just gently, and it toasts it just a little bit. So something you can do, don't have to do. And here's my my rice. Ooh, that was a big batch. I'm going to take some of that up.
Professor Kubota, if you don't have a gas stove, can you toast the nori in a pan?
Yeah, I guess you could. you could just, I've never tried that, but I'm sure you could just get like a skillet ready and hot and just toast it. And it's one of those, you know, it doesn't have to be done, but if you can.
Well, I mean, we've done it on a non-gas stove before many times.
Oh yeah? Like on a
I don't think it produces the exact same effect, but like it does something. I mean, I don't know. My mom just does that. Like she'll just turn the stove on. It's an electric stove. She'll just turn the electric stove on. She'll just put it on there for a few seconds and like do the same thing as she would do in her house in Japan, which we have a gas stove.
Okay.
I don't know if it's any more effective or whatever, but
So there you go. You can use a gas stove. I mean, an electric stove as well, and do it. I think, you know, in Japan, it would be, if you watch Jirojin's of Sushi, he actually does it over a fire, not a gas flame. He's got a little fire going.
A classic way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one I'm going to do for my daughter who is hungry. She likes everything on her tempura roll. So she's going to get cucumber and some avocado. And the tempura, shrimp tempura. So I'm cutting a couple slices of that avocado to add in.
That's a nice cutting technique, Professor Kubota, that I just watched you.
Yes. So anyways, I just sliced it right in the skin. And so that it was sliced and ready to go, and just use a spoon to pull out my slices. That works pretty well.
Yeah.
And she gets the other pieces of the tempura. So that was just for reference. 3 pieces of shrimp tempura made 2 tempura rolls.
So mine is already rolled. So to get the heart shape, you kind of want to roll your sushi into a teardrop shape. Let me see if I could show you from the side. I don't know if you guys can see, kind of like that teardrop shape. And you're just going to press down firmly and mold it into that shape. And that's going to create like half of a heart. And you put 2 pieces together and that's a complete heart.
So I just did that with the sushi mat. I think I did it. Success. So mine looks like a nice little teardrop now. Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna unwrap it and slice it. My daughter's gonna have her. Valerie, the way I slice it is I slice it in half.
Mm-hmm.
And then I that's gonna work perfectly. Then I put those 2 slices, I'm gonna put them back to back. I put those halves together and then I slice from there. This part does work best if you've got a nice good knife, right? And I'm kind of sawing, and that's working pretty well. Certainly our sushi chefs have really nice, sharp knives.
Yeah, for residents, if you want to invest in one good piece of cooking equipment, I advise you to get a nice, basic, sharp knife. Dull knives are pretty dangerous.
Oh. So I'm now taking 2 of my little teardrops and I'm making them into hearts. This work, I had never done the heart-shaped sushi, so I learned something with this demo. Thank you, Valerie. Super cute. Voila. I've got heart shapes. You could pinch them together and make them even more heart shaped. I love it. Perfect. I want to see Valerie's. Valerie's cutting. I'm a little fast. I gotta eat. I have to gym. Oh, okay. So Katie wants to eat. So we're actually going to serve it with soy sauce. My daughter's hungry. I'm going to put a little soy sauce. Yeah, she's got gym conditioning here in a little while, so she needs to eat. So I'm going to give this away. And then, you know, I like wasabi with my sushi. I buy the little tube of wasabi. It's not the good stuff, but it gives you that kick. So certainly not the same thing they would use in a restaurant, but at home it's fine. And this you can open, you can keep in your fridge. So you always have a little bit of wasabi, mix it in with your soy sauce and you get that wasabi flavor. Okay. So I'm giving this to my daughter. So there we go. Sushi, heart-shaped sushi.
Looks delicious. I'm jealous.
Mm. So she's having the shrimp. Here's my son's. Let me cut his. I'll turn his into heart shape too. Little 10-year-old boy. I don't know how much he'll appreciate it, but we'll do
Mine
it.
has a little bit of sesame seeds on top of mine to give it a little bit more, you know, a little more artsy.
You can do an inside out roll too, where you take the seaweed, you put the rice on it, and then you flip it over onto your plastic wrap. And then you would put your filling ingredients on the sushi, on the seaweed and roll it that way. And you end up with an inside out roll if you wanted to make different kinds. So here's my second roll. This one's not as, I didn't do as good a job making my teardrops. Let's see. We can still form them though. The rice gets sticky, it gets all over your hand. So having the water in a little wet towel so you can wipe the rice off of your fingers is helpful. Ooh. This one's fallen. These are going to be my little nibbles. Let's see, Valerie. I think Valerie might have beaten me if we were doing this as a chop. Hers looked better than mine. This one, I rolled a little funny and my cucumber's falling out. I'm going to squish it together. You'll never know.
Maybe something else we can do is probably put a toothpick in between two sushi rolls and then like a little heart at the end, like a little bow and arrow.
Yes.
That would be cute.
So I'm sure if we were to go to Daiso, they would have some cute way to dress this up because Daiso always sells, if you haven't been there, it's the dollar store or it's a Japanese dollar store apparently. They call it the 100 yen store in Japan. And here the one that we see a lot is Daiso. And they always have a lot of cute serving things and, you know, little paper cups. They've got bento boxes. So if you get into, you know, meal prepping and taking your lunch with you, it's a great place to go and find things to use. That's where you could go probably get your sushi mat and like the spam musubi and the other molds that you might use. We love rice in all different shapes. So I have this one that makes the little triangular rice patties here. And what I've done before with this is put a little piece of seaweed in it, put the rice in and then a topping and pressed it down. And so you make kind of a different shape not your traditional shape, but it's still fun to eat. That's a fun one. And then these are, it's a little bunny. So you can fill it with rice, press it down, and you get these little shapes. So there's a bunny and a kitty cat. It's total kawaii Japanese thing, right? I have kids, so I have all this stuff. And those are super fun ways to, dress up your bento box. So I could keep rolling, but I know that Valerie also was going to show you guys a Rice Krispie treat. Valerie, should I keep rolling or are you moving on to Rice Krispies?
How much time? We have about 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna move on to the Rice Krispies.
Okay.
But hopefully you guys enjoyed this little sushi, heart-shaped sushi, and hopefully you guys make it. And if you do, post it on Instagram and tag WHISK, WHISK_SJSU, so we can see all your recreations.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Professor Kubota and Valerie. I'm excited for the second recipe too. And you should not feel rushed if you need a little bit of extra time to cook your Rice Krispie treats. I'm happy to.
Thank you. Any questions out there? From our, we have some of our students on. You guys can ask questions as well. Feel free to pipe up, chime in. No questions? Okay. How many people have made sushi before? George, so 1. How many will make sushi after tonight? Yay!
I have a question.
The hearts are really cute.
Oh, yeah.
They're super cute.
Thank you. That was
I've
in honor
done
of
it.
Valentine's Day. We're hoping we are inspiring someone to cook at Valentine's Day.
I've done like flower designs before where somehow you're supposed to position the different things in the rice in different ways, and like if you cut it open, then you get like a little flower design. It's pretty cool.
Sushi is definitely an art form.
The other thing I learned, like, because I used to go to Japanese school like back in like middle school and stuff, and like we had like a cooking class, and one of the tricks that I learned is that you can take like you take 2 chopsticks, right, and you just kind of put them parallel with each other, and you put the cucumber in the middle, in between it, and then you chop it up, right, and you turn it over and you chop diagonally, and if you like pick it up, it's like a little snake.
Yes. I know what you're talking about. That's pretty cool.
You know what I'm talking about? Oh wow, cool.
There's a lot you can do in terms of garnishing with all these veggies. So it can get pretty intricate, which can be a lot of fun. What's the other?
Maybe I can ask, what kind of different ingredients would you use, Professor Kubota and Valerie, in a sushi beyond the ones that you've used tonight?
I can answer for sure. I think Valerie's getting some stuff together. I was just thinking in my head, things that students would have, maybe egg. You can certainly cook up egg. That would be a very traditional filling. Although, the process by which a sushi chef would cook his eggs is crazy elaborate, as you would see in Jiro Jun's Sushi. But you can just cook off some egg and make like a little bit of like a scrambled egg omelet mixture. If you're able to keep it in one piece, it's easier for rolling, obviously, than if it were scrambled. But egg would be a good one. I like fake crab or the crab meat in it, as a California roll would be. And so that can get mixed with a little mayo, or you can leave it plain. You don't even have to add the mayo, but you can certainly add the mayo if you want. You can make it a spicy roll by adding in then the hot sauce, usually something like sriracha. So that's a good one. Shrimp. I like the cooked shrimp. So I would take cooked shrimp, chop it up finely, and mix it with the mayo and a little bit of sriracha. Now, if you're talking about wanting to add in fish, you do have to be careful. So when you're adding fish to sushi, it's sushi grade fish. It's specifically for sushi. And so it's been frozen to a very low temperature to kill any parasites that might be in the fish. So you only want to use sushi grade fish if you're going to be eating raw fish when it comes to the sushi. So you have to look for that. That's not exactly easy to find. So it's not what you get at Safeway or Lucky, right? You have to go to a Japanese market and specifically get sushi grade fish in order to use the raw fish. But you could use cooked fish. So if you like salmon or smoked salmon, you might see a smoked salmon roll. That's another good one because that's one that you can easily add in. Trader Joe's sells smoked trout. I think that would be really fun and interesting. And I could see that that would go really well with cucumber and avocado and all the veggies. You could make it pure veggie. There's something called kimbap in Korea. They make like a sushi roll just like this, but only vegetables. And it's often eaten as a snack. I think it's called kimbap. So you could just do the veggies as well and make it a vegetarian one. I'm going to add in to the other sushi that I roll here. I'm going to add in the tempura vegetables. So I'm going to make a veggie tempura roll with the rest of my rice here. So really anything you like is fair game. And you can personalize it. So I did the shrimp tempura roll with just cucumber for my son. That's how he likes it. He does not eat avocado, even though he did as a baby. He refuses now. So no avocado there, but my daughter and I like the avocado. So it's nice that you can personalize it and put in what you like. My husband's vegan and I can make sushi for him because I can just make it with all the veggies as well. And it's a lot cheaper, right? We love sushi. Our family, if we get sushi, we spend $100 easily. So this way, even though I bought the tempura, I spent $25 and maybe another, $5, $10 on the rest of my ingredients. So I was able to cut my sushi bill to a third by rolling my own sushi, and I enjoy it. I think it's fun. So.
Madeline has a good suggestion also in the chat. Maybe I'm going to read it so that everyone can hear it. So she says, me and my boyfriend love to go to Whole Foods and get an ahi tuna piece for the two of us. We marinate it for 30 minutes in ginger, garlic, and soy sauce, and then sear it. So that means cooking it in a pan for a cooked sushi roll. So that way you don't have probably to use sushi grade fish because you're going to cook your fish. So there's no risk to your health. And she also says that chicken is a good alternative.
That makes sense because you could do like a beef tempura roll or, a beef teriyaki roll. I think that would be like an American version of sushi, certainly. But I've seen that before, like beef teriyaki or chicken teriyaki or salmon teriyaki inside a sushi roll. Sure. Anybody else have any adventurous ones? Valerie brought up good point about like the mango. Mango's delicious in sushi and adds a nice sweetness. You'll see that one out, like mango and veggies in a vegan sushi roll.
I was thinking maybe for the residents that have cars, I've never been, but I've been wanting to go to a Japanese market in Saratoga called Mitsuwa. It seems very big. So I'm pretty sure that you would find absolutely all the ingredients that you need to cook sushi, and probably the rolling mat too. So whether you're vegetarian or vegan, or if you eat meat or if you eat fish, probably even sushi grade fish there. So Mitsuwa is the name.
There's also one called Nijiya. So both of those are good. There's a Nijiya in San Mateo, but I believe there's one down in the South Bay as well. So those are both good Japanese markets. Yeah.
Walter asks, could one put asparagus in sushi?
Yes. Good one. They do a tempura asparagus roll at our favorite Japanese restaurant. So that's a good one. But you could do regular asparagus.
And Professor Kubota, when you cook you mentioned that your partner is vegan. I think when you cook sushi for your partner, do you include veganese or do you do it without mayonnaise or depending?
I do his without, yes. Right now I'm down to one fridge. My refrigerator, we're waiting on parts, is down. So I'm down to one fridge. So I don't have extra space. So we are not opening any extra things. So his is just going to be pure veggies, but he's happy with that. Yeah, but you could, if you're vegan, you can get vegan mayonnaise and use that, and then it would stay vegan, sure.
So if people don't have other questions about the sushi, maybe I'm going to pause the recording and restart it as soon as we get going on the Rice Krispies treat. But I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to ask all the questions they want. So any other question for sushi? We're good?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I was gifted for Christmas, I was gifted a sushi kit, and in the sushi kit was mirin, but I really don't know what mirin is or if it's the same as rice vinegar.
So mirin is rice wine, actually. And it's used a lot in Japanese cooking. So teriyaki sauce, for example, is usually a mixture of soy sauce and mirin and maybe brown sugar. It's kind of a sweet white wine. Yeah.
Okay, so I could use that in like the seasoning that you made when you were putting it in your sushi rice?
It's usually not in that. That's usually rice wine vinegar. So you would buy like the Kikkoman rice wine vinegar. Trader Joe's sells rice wine vinegar, and it comes plain like this, or it comes seasoned. And so if you buy the one that's already seasoned, it already has some sugar and salt in it, and you don't need to add anything to it. But if you buy the plain one, then you season it with sugar and salt. So it's 5 parts vinegar, 3 parts sugar, and 1 part salt.
Thank you.
But the mirin you could use, you could make like a teriyaki sauce using your mirin. And a lot of, Japanese recipes would call for mirin.
And maybe another question that I have about the sushi. So let us say that residents want to cook a Japanese meal very quickly and they don't have time to roll sushi. So they decide to make a bowl. In that case, can you use any kind of rice, like sushi rice or white rice or brown rice or even another kind of grain?
Yeah, you could certainly. I have to say I'm one of those funny people. I keep like a ton of different kinds of rice. I have basmati, I have jasmine, I have brown rice, I have sushi rice, I have calrose rice, I have quinoa, I have every grain you could possibly want because they are a little bit different, right? Basmati has a very unique flavor to it. Jasmine is also very floral. So they have a different flavor to them than other rices. So if you're not too picky about that, you could use any rice. But if you tend to make these things a lot, you can pick up rice. And then, it's pretty inexpensive. So maybe this week you buy basmati, next week you buy jasmine, the next week you buy calrose, so that you have a little variety to choose from depending on what you're making.
And I often hear that brown rice is healthier than white rice. Is this true from a nutrition perspective? Is there a big difference between different kinds of rice?
Valerie, do you want to tackle that question?
Yeah, I've heard that brown rice is healthier than white rice. They usually offer it, like, I know when I go to like Panda Express, they usually have it there. But yeah, I've heard that it's like healthier. It's a healthier option than white rice.
So brown rice is going to be the same as white rice, only it hasn't been polished. So white rice has been refined, meaning that the brown on the outside has been removed, and what's left is that endosperm, the inner portion of the rice. So it's no longer a whole grain. Brown rice is a whole grain, whereas white rice is refined. So yes, brown rice is typically, it has more nutrients in it, and it also has more fiber. But, there's just certain foods that lend themselves, culturally, it's really hard to get away from sushi with white rice. You can make it with brown rice, but it's not the same thing. So the recommendation is that you get half of your grains as whole grains, that you try to get a minimum of half of your grains as whole grains, which still allows you to enjoy some refined grains in your diet, right? So if you enjoy your sushi with white rice, enjoy it, and then try to make some other options, that are whole grain to kind of balance that out.
Awesome. Thanks for answering all these questions. Valerie, are you ready to move on to our second recipe for the night?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, for Rice Krispie treats, I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to add that into a large microwave safe bowl. And then I'm also going to add a 10-ounce bag of large marshmallows.
So we have some variations going on. I was saying I'm doing mine in a pot because my stove is right here. And you guys are hearing all of this. My microwave is not working either. So even though it's sitting there, I can't use it. So I'm going to do mine on the stove. And I'm also using small marshmallows, not large marshmallows. Just shows you that you can substitute what you have.
So I put mine in the microwave for about 2 minutes, and that's gonna cause the marshmallows to kind of inflate. And meanwhile, I'm gonna transfer some melted chocolate into some Ziploc bags for decorating. So what I like to do is I like to put a Ziploc bag in a cup. That way it's easier to transfer the chocolate. And I'm doing white chocolate.
My little marshmallows obviously are sticking to my bag here. They might have been in my pantry for a little while. So this is actually going to be a good use for them, right? We're going to melt those down and turn those into something else. So I've got my stove on kind of medium low heat, and I'm going to just melt that gently. And I think Valerie, one of the reasons she chose this recipe is because it was an easy thing to do that literally you can do in your microwave in 5-10 minutes. You can whip up a sweet treat. So if you're looking for something that you can make easily in your dorm room, this is one of those recipes.
And then for this recipe, I'm gonna use some cookie cutters that I have here. Some Valentine's Day ones. Some of these you could purchase at Michael's or Walmart. I think at Walmart they sell like a pack of them for about like $2, I think. But if you do not have time to go to Walmart, you can easily get a piece of wax paper, fold it in half, get some scissors. Let's do a little heart. Just cut out a little heart shape. Like that. And you have a little heart template. It's kind of hard to see, but you have a little heart, and you could use this and outline it with a knife to make a heart shape with your Rice Krispies.
I think I might be just cutting mine in bars. And I've got the mega size box of Rice Krispies from Smart and Final. We actually like Rice Krispies as a cereal, so it's something we usually have too. If you're looking for a good choice, it's actually, you know, I'm looking at the ingredients. It's rice, sugar, barley malt, salt, and mixed coffrolls, which is vitamin E for freshness, to preserve freshness. But total sugars is only 4 grams. So it's actually really low in sugars. It's not very high in fiber, though. In fact, it has 0 fiber. So in that regard, it's not the best cereal in terms of fiber, but it is low in sugar. And many cereals do have quite a bit of sugar. You can get brown Rice Krispies. Has anybody seen that before? If you go to Whole Foods, they have a brand of Rice Krispies that's made from brown rice. So it's brown Rice Krispies.
And Madeline is asking in the chat if one could use a gluten-free cereal for this. If it's gluten-free.
So Rice Krispies are not gluten-free, right, Madeline? It sounds like they would be because they're made from rice, but because
I know, but they're definitely not.
Yeah, because they have the barley malt in them. Barley actually has gluten. They are not gluten-free, but you can find gluten-free ones if you go to Whole Foods. So they don't use the barley malt in it.
That's good to know. I had no idea that they were not gluten-free.
You would expect them to be because they're made from rice, right? And most people, if you're gluten sensitive, this is probably not likely to set you off because the amount in there is so small. But for people who have celiac who absolutely have to be gluten-free, then you want to make sure that you're not giving them something like this that would have gluten in it. The other thing is, if you're gluten-free, you can't have soy sauce either. So soy sauce is fermented from wheat and soy, so it is not gluten-free either. So if you're gluten-free, there is tamari, which is very similar to soy sauce, but without the wheat component. So it's just fermented soy. So you can have tamari if you're gluten-free.
You can also try, there's coconut aminos as well, and they come in a bottle just like soy sauce does. It might even be in the same area, but I know that they sell coconut aminos that taste just like soy sauce too.
I usually have some. I don't know if I have any in my cabinet here. I'm running out of space. But yes, coconut aminos is a good option. And it's much lower in sodium. So it's another good option that way.
And my partner is also gluten-free, so I can tell you that you can find gluten-free soy sauce, although it's a little hard to find.
Yeah. Well, the tamari is naturally gluten-free, so you can just get tamari. And they even sell that in the little packets. So you know how you can get soy sauce packets at the restaurants? You can actually go to 99 Ranch or offer it on Amazon. You can get it too. You can get little packets of tamari. So if you're gluten-free, you can carry it with you and you always have your soy option that's gluten-free.
All right, so I took my marshmallows out of the microwave and I mixed it till I got a really creamy, smooth consistency. And once I have that, I can begin to add my Rice Krispies. 6 cups of Rice Krispies is what I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add a little bit at a time. And you just wanna make sure all your Rice Krispies are fully coated in the marshmallow mixture.
Mine was getting super hot on the stove. It's not quite done. I'm just going to finish it off here with the residual heat. Got it. And then 6 cups of Rice Krispies. There's 4. 6.
If you can't tell, this recipe is really, really sticky. So just a little warning.
I've got a trick for getting it in the pan. Once we're ready. I may add, I'm going to make mine. I'm going to put in some Valentine's Day M&Ms.
Another thing too is food coloring.
Mhm.
If you add food coloring, you could add some red food coloring. So that way when you use your cookie cutters and cut out heart shapes, it's already red.
So you would add that in when you melt the marshmallows. So after the marshmallows are nice and melted, then you could add in the food coloring, Valerie.
Yeah.
I happen to have some Valentine's Day M&Ms, but this is really warm. So I know if I add those in, they're going to start to melt. So I'm going to get my pan ready for them to go into first. So I'm putting them into a 9 by 13 inch pan. And my trick, Valerie, because these are going to be sticky, is I'm lining it with parchment paper. So I'm going to spray my pan with a little bit of nonstick spray so the parchment paper will stick to my pan. My daughter's waiting now. They love it when we do cooking demos. Yes. And now I'm going to spray this. Okay, she's going in. I'm going to spray this with nonstick spray too. So this will keep it from sticking. There she goes. She's gonna go do gym conditioning, so she's having a little snack. This will keep it from sticking, but the other reason that I like to do this, put the parchment paper in there like that, you could do it with foil too if you don't have parchment paper, not everybody does. You could just line it with foil, is that once these set, I can just lift it up out of the pan and onto my cutting board, and it makes cutting a lot easier. So it's a step that I like to do. Oh, wait, I'm gonna add in my M&Ms. My kids have been in my stash, so not quite enough. Literally, my kids were in my stash. I might be a little more generous with that if I had more M&Ms.
I'm going to begin to transfer my Rice Krispies onto a pan. I sprayed mine with canola oil. The reason I didn't use a piece of parchment paper is because this pan can actually be removed from the sides, so you'll be left with just the bottom part.
I can use springform pan.
Yes.
Perfect. So this would take a little work to get the rest of that out, but you know, my kids are happy. They'll be, they'll work on that later. Valerie, I'm going to share my tip. So my tip now is you either butter your fingers if you're using butter, or I can spray my fingers with that nonstick spray and use it to press down. So I actually have butter out, and butter would be tastier since I have my butter. Here it is.
I would definitely want to try this just to like butter my fingers now. I mean, that just sounds like the most amazing thing.
So yeah, you get your hands all buttery, and then you can press it down much easier. My advice on Rice Krispie treats after years and years and years as a pastry chef is press down hard. If you press them down and really compact them, I mean, you don't have to like kill it, but do press them down really hard, and they just taste different. It's one of those things people are always like, your Rice Krispie treats taste so good. And I'm like, I'm making the same recipe, I promise. But sometimes it's just the technique of how you put it together that can make a difference. So I tend to press pretty hard and try to get them into a nice even layer. They're not sticking because my hands were nice and buttery. Voila. Oops, I smashed an M&M. Let me wash my hands. Nice. So mine are ready. Valerie's using the springform pan, so she's making a round one with hers. I put my mixture into a 9x13-inch pan, which I think is actually also a good size. They're not going to be terribly thick, so they'll be a nice size, especially for cutting, if you're going to cut them with the cutters.
So now that we have pressed down onto our Rice Krispie, at this point you want to let it cool down for a bit just so it could mold together. I would say for about a good 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes for it to cool down.
Can you put them in the fridge and speed up the process, Valerie?
I usually just leave it out, but if you wanted to, that's an option too. I wouldn't recommend it though, just because like it's still kind of warm. The food is still kind of warm.
So I'm going to do mine pretty fresh here. Valerie had one already made, so that one has been sitting. Yes, Valerie, so it'll be easier for her to cut. Okay, I'm pulling mine out. So it can be done fresh. It's not as easy, but here we go.
And now I'm just gonna start by taking my cookie cutter and pressing down firmly and getting a heart shape.
Is this what they mean when they say eat your heart out?
Maybe. Let's see, I'll cut a few. I think because mine are so fresh, actually. It's not having too much trouble, actually. Valerie, what would you do with all the extra bits?
I would mold it back into the pan and make more Rice Krispies, more hearts, more squares, whatever you prefer. Or you could just eat it like that as a little snack.
One for the chef, one for the guests.
That is the nice thing about cooking, you know. If you're the cook, you kind of get that privilege of tasting. Or your kids might. So I've got a couple hearts. I'm going to do a row of hearts, and then I think I'm going to cut into squares. You know, they sell Rice Krispie treats in packages. So if that's all you've ever had, do try these, because there is a difference between a fresh Rice Krispie treat and a packaged Rice Krispie treat. And Valerie, you can flavor these other ways, right? So you'll see Rice Krispie treats with all kinds of recipes. Peanut butter Rice Krispie treats, where you incorporate peanut butter into that marshmallow mixture. There's chocolate Rice Krispie treats. If you don't use Rice Krispies, you can use other cereals. So I've seen it done with like Cocoa Krispies, for example, and turned into a chocolate Rice Krispie, and that's kind of fun. Or if you just want to use whatever cereal you have and not buy a different box of cereal. Did you hear that from the couch? Oh, can you check my? Oh, it would be on my phone.
So if you want to do chocolate Rice Krispies, would you add chocolate chips to the marshmallows or melted chocolate?
Yep. That and or cocoa. Or use the Cocoa Pebbles, right? The Cocoa Pebbles cereal. You can use Fruity Pebbles. That's a fun one. I am going to have a bite. I'm going to cut this up. And I'm going to cut a couple into just squares. So I think Valerie was also going to decorate hers with some melted chocolate.
Yes. So I'm going to use this color mist, and I'm going to spray one of them pink.
Ooh.
I'm going to do the arrow.
So that's like a spray food
color spray. Yeah.
Where did you get that, Valerie?
This one I got at Walmart.
Just in the baking section or in the craft section?
In the baking section.
I've got pretty much every baking thing there is, but I don't think I've ever bought the food spray. Okay, I've got to check an email from my daughter really quick. Be right back.
So there's one. And I'm just gonna outline this arrow by taking my chocolate that we had just made. And cutting the tip. Small little tip. And then just outlining it with this.
That's actually a good technical tip to give to residents if you want to, kind of decorate something. You can just pump or just add some chocolate to a Ziploc bag and then cut the tip and then you just use it.
Usually I'll use Wilton bags. I don't know if you guys have heard of those. Those are meant for like cake decorating, like using the frosting. That's usually what I'll use, but Ziploc bags works fine.
Tomorrow, I'm going to mail a box to my parents with some Rice Krispie treats since we're making them. And I made some peanut butter blossoms with heart-shaped candies, dove hearts. Put that in the mail tomorrow for Valentine's Day. I don't know, we often think of college students as receiving gift baskets or care packages in the mail. I don't know if that's a thing these days anymore. Do you guys get care packages from home? Anybody?
Even I get some and they come directly from Canada. So
It was I'm not sure how much that's done anymore, but I tend to send things home, and there's some boxes you can get at the mailbox that are they have a small one, they have a medium size and a large size, and no matter how much you put in there, how much it weighs, it's a specific price. So it ends up being a good deal for sending cookies and things like that. I can send a little box of cookies just that I'm thinking about you for like $7. So whenever I make too many cookies or for an event like this or a holiday like this, Walter's looking at me like, too many cookies. I can bake too much. I try to send some to my parents. And they always get excited when they get a box in the mail. So
Valerie, that looks like the right amount of chocolate.
Thank you.
wow. I've got a huge plate of Rice Krispie treats and some leftovers here that
look delicious.
I'll nibble on. Here's our Kara, wow. Not Kara, sorry, Valerie. So you did white chocolate, but you also melted some, it looks like dark chocolate or semi-sweet.
Yes.
So you can certainly get pretty creative with this. This might be a good way to, relieve some stress. For me, that's what baking is. It's very relaxing. I don't know if any of y'all find that. That's why I often have too many cookies, Walters, because for me, it's a stress reliever. In fact, I was known as the student who always brought cookies to every exam. It was part of my studying was making some cookies also.
That's awesome.
I like the last one, Valerie. It's the most romantic.
Yeah. So here you have it. Some Rice Krispies for Valentine's Day.
Very nice. Nicely
Need a
done.
screenshot.
We do need a
Don't mind.
screenshot of that.
Certainly. Can you take one, George, or you want me
Yeah.
to take one? Yeah.
Done.
All right. Well, that's amazing. Thanks so much, Valerie and Professor Kubota, for another wonderful faculty and residence and WHISK workshop. It's always a pleasure to host these events, and I am confident that it's going to be very useful for residents that's going to be able to watch this for many years to come. So I think it was an awesome event. Maybe before we bring this to a close, does anyone has questions about the second recipe, the Rice Krispie treats, other ingredients, substitutions? Maybe if you used another, let us say you're you don't want to use Rice Krispies, or you don't have Rice Krispies, could you use another kind of cereal to make that? If so, which one would you use?
You know, this is one of those recipes where pretty much any cereal can go. Special K is a good one. It's actually kind of rice-based also, so it has kind of the same flavor. And so you'll see Special K used a lot, but pretty much any cereal can do. I've seen Cheerios done, even cereal bites with Cheerios in them. So, you know, if you've got a different box of cereal open, or you've got one hanging around that you can't seem to find a way to use up, maybe this is a good option for you.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone. So we'll be holding another cooking workshop in 2 weeks from now, on another Monday. So see you all there. And again, a warm thank you to Valerie and Professor Kubota for leading the cooking demo. Bye everyone. See you soon.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.